This is a program as well as a Nucleo 64 board to show a sequence of a down counter on a 7-segment display counting from 9 to 0 and then blinking 0, a blank screen, 3 times and then repeating the process. The setup for it is going to go as far as a flowchart right here. We have the 7-segment display counter as the actual program itself. It's going to initialize the RCC motors, and then it's going to initialize values for both table 1 and table 2. Table 1 is going to be the 9 to 0, and then table 2 is going to be the sequence of zeros and blanks. The first table is going to go through the sequence. It's got its own little for loop right here, which is going to determine whether the I value is at the max or at 0. If it is not 0, it's going to go down and it's going to output each individual respective outputs based on the table to the 7-segment display. And then after it displays the 1, it's going to then proceed, subtract 1, and then see if it's 0. If it's not, it's going to go back up here and then keep decrementing the value until the next output's out for a segment display of 0. After it finishes that loop, it's going to proceed to B, which is then going to come up here, and this is where it does the 0 blank 0 blank sequence. It's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to output a 0, go through it. It's going to then repeat, go back up here. It's going to output a blank screen, 0 blank 0 blank. It's going to do this 3 times. And then after it's done, it's going to repeat back up here and come to the start of the while loop and just continuously completing the course. For the actual hardware setup, it's going to be as shown. It's going to be output pins of PC0 as well as PC7. Each one of these segment display pieces is going to be connected to an input of a 220 ohm resistor, which will then illuminate each one of these segments, which is powered by a constant 5 volt power source. Within the code itself, we have right here, we have initializing the internal clocks as well as setting the motors to 0 and then the actual pins for them. And then we have our 2 table arrays, which are going to work as our lookup table. This is going to be the sequence from 9 all the way down to 0 with 1 dummy variable, and then this is going to be our sequence in our table 2 for our 0 blank 0 blanks. So this is our main while loop, which is going to include 2 nested for loops, which is going to be our 9 to 0 and then our 0 blank 0 blank. This is going to count down. It's going to have a delay of half a second, and then this one is going to then proceed once this one equals 0, and this is going to be blank 0 blank 0, and this is going to be our delay sequence down here. So we have half a second delay. We already loaded it up onto the Nucleo board. We're going to reset it. As you can see, the sequence counts down and then proceeds to show a 0 blank 0 blank 0 blank. And that's all we have for that sequence for down counter.